So I promised you that we would dance. So we're going to dance some of these. We're going to start with a book called Earl's Too Cool for Me. So let me read it to you, and then we're going to come back and do some work with it as far as dancing our way to phonemic awareness. Earl's got a bicycle made of hay. He takes rides on the Milky Way. Earl's too cool for me. Now, you know what my repetitive line is going to be. Earl's too cool for me. Okay, so now, folks, not only do I have a repetitive line, but you're also going to notice what happened at the end of each of those lines. Earl's got a bicycle made of hay. He takes rides on the Milky Way. What happened? A rhyme. So that's an automatic place for children to recognize rhyme and use their body to represent it. They're always moving anyway, why not use it? Okay? So what we do is kind of a grapevine thing with it. Earl's got a bicycle made of hay, and we kick. He takes rides on the Milky Way. So you're going to do a step, 1, 2, 3, kick, 1, 2, 3, kick. All right, you got it? And then it's Earl's too cool for me. Okay, because we're from my 60s generation. All right? So, everybody stand up. Now, I'm probably not going to dance and read at the same time, but I expect you to do it well. Okay? I'll do the first one because I have a hard time with the book now that I'm old. Okay, ready? Earl's got a bicycle made of hay. He takes rides on the Milky Way. Earl's too cool for me. Earl's got a hat with a real horse feather. He can't wear socks made of chicken leather. Earl's too cool for me. Earl knows the letters of the zoo alphabet. He caught wild boars in a butterfly net. Earl's too cool for me. Now you stop. Now here comes Earl. He's going to ask why. I'm not cool like he is, but all he says is, why? Now this is our last line. Earl's pretty funny, but he's really nice. He's 8 years old and only thrown up twice. Okay, so when I talk about dancing your way to phonemic awareness, I firmly believe if you look at all the research behind total physical response and all the brain research that talks about how our whole body is involved in the learning process of reading and writing, you have to put the whole body into your teaching of phonemic awareness. That doesn't mean you buy a box and you get a poem that they're supposed to listen to. What you do is you take quality pieces of literature, quality experiences for them, songs, poems, rhymes, and you integrate them in with your content so that the kids can have something that's meaningful. If you've seen my t-shirt, Becky has it on, Save the Teacher, meaningful, purposeful, and engaging. I firmly believe that all learning in the classroom has to have meaning, or your children will not connect to it, and it will not go any further than in their ears and out their ears. And that's what's happening today. We are doing spray and pray in hopes. You know, you spray it out there and you pray that somebody gets it. You know, and that's why we look at assessment and we go, oh, it didn't do very well. Yeah, you sprayed and prayed. Nobody wanted it. You know, when we do a burp and gag teaching, we push it in until they gag and then they burp it back. When we say, where is it? They say, I gave it to you. You're the one that wanted it. I don't want anything to do with that, don't they? Okay, so we as teachers need to stand up and say, no, I have to have meaning in my classroom. I remember the very first basic reader that I was given to teach. My first teaching job. And for those of you who are young, it was before you ever were born or thought of or were a glint in your mother's eye. It was 1973. I'm old. And by the way, I'm still here. And I will be teaching until you drag my body out the door. Because as long as I have the passion and the belief in education I do, I'm bringing my wisdom to you so that you can gain some of that passion and some of that wisdom and some of that experience. I love young teachers. They are so hungry and no one's feeding them. They need to be fed. It's so important. So if you have a young teacher next to you, you have a responsibility as a senior teacher to love on that person and to care about that person. And even if you're an older person that's a young teacher, do it. Okay? But what I found was the first basal they gave me, the first page, and I told the guy at Harcourt Brace yesterday, I said, I'm going to demean your series. In 1973, the series they gave me was the Bookmark series, and the first book was called Sun Up. And I remember I did not learn to read until I was in college. I have a severe learning disability. If you ever watch me when I'm tired try to read, you will understand my learning disability because I can't stay on the page. I get to the end and I'm gone. Okay? I'm ADHD. Isn't it a good thing they didn't drug me? an adult, everybody I know says, oh my gosh, you've got so much energy. I could never follow you. And everybody this week has been saying, you do 3 jobs? How do you do it? Well, I write on the side, and raise puppies, But the thing is that what people saw as a criticism of me then was a value now, and has been my whole life. And nobody thought of drugging me. I think it's absolutely unconscionable that we are starting children on amphetamines at age 5. We should be shot. And some of us as teachers have recommended that to parents. 1 out of every million ADA kids need that. ADD kids need that. Not 1 of every 1. Some of them are just lively, busy kids. There's a difference between being ADHD, totally out of control, lost your brains. They need structure. And they need to know that they are cherished for who they are. And that they're going to be, my mom had me on a leash from the day I was born. And my mom had rheumatic fever, she was an invalid. So she had to traipse me around, and I had my own ironing board, I had my own iron, I had my own vacuum cleaner, I had a soap dish bowl, so I washed dishes next to her all the time, wash dishes. That's how my mom controlled my ADHD. I constantly worked. And that's how I learned to be I did. You know what? And she made me feel like I was the most valuable person in the world because I contributed to our family. But I'll get off that. That's a soapbox. Okay. But that first series, the very first page, can you imagine opening a basal reader to read with kids? And right now, the same kind of stuff is in your schools. The first page had a dog lying in the grass, and the words at the bottom of the page were, sun up. And the next page, it said, the sun was up. And the next page said, Sandy was up, and there was the dog. The next page said, Bing was up, and there was a cat. I did not have 1 child in my classroom who would look at that first page, and there wasn't even a sun on the page. It was kind of like, it looked like somebody peed in the corner. There wasn't a sun here. And say, aha, this says, sun up. There was not 1 child that would do that in their right mind. So when they handed me that series, I was 21 years old and had just walked out of college and had learned to read that year. I went to my principal and I said, I cannot teach this. There is not a child in my classroom who will know that this page says sun up because they have the support of the picture. And this was 1973, folks. I was not his favorite person. And he said to me, we don't care what you do as long as you're quiet. That was like, just saying, don't be a bull in the china closet, But still, what I did was then integrate and do charts. I made my own big books before big books were popular. Pocket chart things. I had pocket charts, folks, that weren't cute. They weren't this whole plastic stuff. It was a folded piece of butcher paper with staples down the side. We had to write everything across the top. But what I understood was it had to have meaning to my children and to make sense. It has to have purpose. The kids that you're trying to teach auditory discrimination to have to see the purpose for it. Why in the world do I need to hear that? Okay? So when you're working with them, you celebrate. Wow, you heard that. And one of the things you can do, folks, is by training their ears to listen to you. Shut your trap and don't talk so much. Talk quietly. Get down like this so that they have to come to you to hear and train their ear. Because you know what their worlds are filled with? And why do you think they shut you out? Well, they can't be phonemically aware if we haven't worked deliberately to train the ear. I train the ear by reading absolutely delightful poetry to them and saying, now, make your body move with the rhythm of the poetry so that they begin to feel the text. Boonga, 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 deep in the heart of the African jungle, lived a lion, lived a tiger, lived a chimpanzee. I do David Greenberg's wonderful poetry with them because I have to train their ear. That's what it's all about. It's not a series of workbooks. Save a tree. And better yet, save a child. The last piece